there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Hi guys, Kerry and Matt from Fitter Food.
Hello.
And today we're going to chat to you guys about why Matt is in a bad mood. No, we're not really. Well, we are actually.
Well, we are, a little bit.
We're going to talk about mood health generally.
This is what inspired this video.
Was inspired by...
I was the inspiration. Well, my bad mood was.
Matt's bad mood. Although it doesn't seem like he's in a bad mood.
I'm not now. I'm fine now. I was in a bad mood.
I was in a bad mood. So, basically, Monday, Matt wakes up in a foul mood, and as you guys will know if you live with anyone, partners, family, you can kind of see it coming a mile off.
You know.
Everything about his body language and his huffing and puffing he was doing, I was like, oh, he's in a bad mood. What's going on today? Now, the thing is about Matt is he's generally, as you've seen from social media, he is a positive, fun person. So I know he's usually triggered by something. But today we're going to talk about a ton of things that can influence mood health, because it can be that you're just really prone, susceptible to kind of mood swings, but loads of other things in the body will drive us to have those feelings of kind of feeling low or, you know, kind of anger, whatever it might be. So I'm going to talk about the kind of biochemistry around mood health. But first of all, back to Matt. Why were you in a bad mood?
Well,
It's a short story.
I hurt myself. Basically, I went to the gym, as I do, to do a bit of boxing. I've been getting into my boxing again of lately, and I'm absolutely loving it, which is probably why this did put me in such a foul mood, because I was really doing something I enjoyed again. Felt like I was getting somewhere with it, and I was just doing some work on the punch bag, and I kind of felt something go in my shoulder. And at first I kind of just tried to shake it off and just thought maybe I didn't warm up properly, and was it just like a little niggle, whatever. But it kind of got progressively worse, and I was like, actually I should probably stop and try doing some other bits and bobs.
Stop pull-ups.
Huh?
Stop mid pull-up, yeah, I should stop that.
No, what, mid punch,
Yeah.
you mean? And I just thought, you know what, I just need to stop completely and go home, and because anything I was doing was just seemed to be aggravating it, and I was like, whatever. But anyway, as the day went on, it kind of got a little bit worse, and I was kind of went to bed a little bit optimistic, thinking, oh, I'm just going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be absolutely fine. But it wasn't. If anything, it was worse. Maybe I slept on it funny, moved a lot in the night, and just any kind of movement of the shoulder really was very, very painful. And I did have a boxing coaching session scheduled for that day, which I had to cancel. So yeah, I was just in a bit of a mood, because as you know, injuries suck. And when you love training like we do, you know, it's quite frustrating when you can't do the things that you want to do, and yeah, so I had a right one. I was on one.
So if we just dig a little bit deeper into Matt's mood, that he can normally cope with situations like that. He's quite a resilient person and would generally go, okay, I'm injured, yeah, that sucks, I can't box this week, but you know what, give it a week, I will be better. Whereas his attitude that morning was like, I just don't seem to be able to do anything, this is never going to heal, I might as well just give up now. It was very determined.
It was like Kevin and Perry.
Yeah, so unfair.
So unfair.
Yeah, it was.
I hate you.
Yeah, it was. So he'd lost that kind of ability to cope. And this was, we talked about the situation, Hamish is coming in because it got a bit animated. This is generally because what's happening to Matt is other things are feeding in. So maybe it's we had a bit of a chat about it, and it's kind of could be like a work-life balance thing. Maybe kind of other aspects of his life weren't also going to plan. So suddenly he couldn't cope with the small things. It's not a small thing necessarily, it could have been a big thing. So we're just going to now hit the board and talk to you guys about, so it's good to think about triggers. Triggers are a key part of health. When I'm working with a client, or Matt is, we kind of look at incidents that might have made them, kind of compromise your health. So in a mood perspective, it can be anything from an infection, travel, kind of single event that actually made you feel worse, never been well since that point. So obviously in Matt's instance, he's injured himself and that's annoying and everything, but actually the kind of reaction to that situation was possibly a symptom of some other stuff going on. So,
well, you even mentioned at the time, didn't you, when I was having a little moan. It was it was the kind of, things are very busy at the moment, which is awesome. We're busy with what we do, we love it. Unfortunately my stepdad passed away a couple of weeks ago, so I suppose training's been a bit of a
release.
A bit more of a release of late than it normally. I mean, it's always it's quality me time, when I go to the gym and I do my thing and whatever. Whereas I think of late I've probably relied on it even more so than I normally would. So I think that kind of added to the frustration, because it was.
So we're both guilty of this at times. I'm a confessed exercise junkie because we will rely on endorphins that we get through exercise to lift us. But obviously there's a problem with that in that you end up exercising too much and you only feel good when you're exercising. Take that away from someone and they feel really low.
Yeah.
So we've had that in the past, and we've worked through, not relying on exercise too much, doing a lot more other stuff, which I'm going to talk about. Walking, you're like, just talk about stuff on the board, Co's. Anyway, so yeah, that's great that Matt highlighted that, and you should think about that. If exercise is the only time that you feel good, you need to sort that out. So here's some things that you can do. So first of all, mood in itself, when we're talking about mood, there is actually, you guys know we have chemicals in our brain, so there is actually a lot of science to this. It is biochemistry, essentially. So mood is governed by chemicals running around the body, and genetically, so let's start with the genetic side of things, some of us have a compromised ability to produce certain feel-good brain chemicals like serotonin, for example, which makes us feel satisfied and happy. Some of us, there are other also brain chemicals that will affect this. So think of dopamine as another one that I talk to a lot of my clients about. Dopamine is the hormone or neurotransmitter, that surges when you anticipate reward. It was designed to kind of motivate us to go out and hunt for food and things way back when. And again, what can happen is genetically, some of us don't clear these neurotransmitters very well, and some of us don't produce enough of them. So we get imbalances. So we get things like, if you always need something to look forward to, for example, that can be a sign of dopamine deficiency, and therefore you're kind of always trying to give yourself a dopamine surge. If you're relying on external rewards, like anything from chocolate, sugar, cake, alcohol, even a night out at the weekend, if that gets you through your week, that's a sign of maybe low levels of dopamine. You're kind of pushing yourself to a reward situation. Cigarettes also act on dopamine receptors. Dairy does. So if you're addicted to cheese, it could be a thing with dopamine. Also things like gambling.
Serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Risky behaviour, shopping, and this is why I think some people would go out and do stuff where we're a bit like, whoa, why did they do that? And then if you play around with things that give you a dopamine high, if you have too much of that in your life, the body will kind of down-regulate dopamine receptors. So it kind of goes, whoa, there's too much dopamine, there's way too much chocolate, coffee, alcohol, gambling at the weekend. It kind of shuts down its ability to react to dopamine, almost protective really, and therefore you need a bigger hit to get the same high, and that's how we get addicted to stuff. So again, if you've got addictive personality, it might suggest more of a kind of, it's the brain chemistry stuff that's going on.
So genetically, is that, I suppose that's why some people, I suppose when you meet some people, they just generally seem to be really chirpy, happy, positive people.
Yeah. So some people
most of the time.
Some people have really good production of serotonin and they're really positive people. And I've got friends like this. I used to compare myself, especially through like teens and 20s, when you're those like formative years. And I was like, why do some of my friends feel so good all the time? And I sometimes don't want to get out of bed. And I wouldn't have ever said I was depressed, but my moods were just really prone to diving really quickly, and I didn't understand it. So I've done some of the gene tests. You don't need to do the gene test. You will know probably in your heart of hearts right now what kind of person you are. I turned to exercise and started to eat better and felt instantly better. Then I just had to strike the right balance between doing enough of that, not too much. But again, if you're prone to addiction, if you're prone to kind of OCD behaviours, this is all the biochemistry. So you might have that genetic predisposition, and it just helps to know that that just might be influencing you, but it's not defining you. You can do loads of stuff with all the other stuff here. Next up, I'm just going to talk about inflammation. So inflammation, generally, if you have kind of an infection, illness, pain, swelling, so obviously Matt probably had a bit of inflammation going on in his shoulder, inflammation can cross the brain barrier. So we've got barrier here that stops things getting into the brain that shouldn't, and if they do, we're in a bit of trouble. Inflammation will produce chemicals that can cross the brain barrier and actually cause a suppression of those kind of feel-good brain chemicals. And also, if you have an infection, the body wants you to sit still,
chill,
and do nothing, so it can fix it, so your immune system can work. So if you're feeling a bit ill and a bit rough and you're tired, that is your body asking you to do that, but it also will bring your mood down a little bit because it doesn't want you running off to go and do something.
But interestingly, kind of linking that to using exercise as this outlet all the time, what do most people do when they're maybe starting to feel a bit fluey or sinusy, whatever it may be?
Sweat it out.
They're like, I'm going to go to the gym. That will perk me up.
Yeah,
I'll
it's the
feel
worst thing
much
you can
better.
do. Really
but actually, your body's a bit like, really? like, I wanted you to do the opposite.
Yeah,
I wanted you to have a chilled one today, so
Just
I can work my magic and
hot
heal
bath
you.
and a hot bath and bed would have been, which it was back in the day.
Yeah.
You remember parents were always like, hot bath, bed, chicken soup, done.
Because I mean, don't get me wrong. Again, we have been guilty of this in the past, haven't we? We've because we know it makes us feel better. But how often have you then gone to the gym or whatever, done that exercise sesh, had a sweat and gone, I knew it, I'd feel fantastic for this. An hour later, bang.
Yeah.
And it hits you like a ton of bricks.
You suppress your immune system when you exercise. So if your immune system was trying to work really hard and then you went and put it back in the barracks, you could be in trouble. So next up, nutrition. Guys, I cannot emphasise this enough. Number one goal.
Is it important?
It's pretty important. Number one goal. And this is very boring across all our plans, Fit 16, Fit 365.
It's not boring.
Blogs. We talk about you've got to balance your blood sugar levels. If you have high amounts of refined carbs, again, alcohol, lack of sleep, all this kind of stuff, wrecking your blood sugar levels, it really affects your mood. Because again, this is all about kind of the cells that produce serotonin, that make you feel good, or GABA, which makes you feel nice and calm and everything, need to have like, do you know, this is really interesting. Our brain cells have a little chauffeur in the membrane that's always ready to take some glucose in, so that we're always got energy. The brain is favoured over any other part of the body for glucose, for energy.
Yeah.
So there's a little chauffeur ready. So whereas every other cell has to basically call a taxi to get the glucose in, it's a bit of a long-winded kind of, process. The brain is like, no, I need glucose all the time. I'm going to have a royal chauffeur sat there pulling the glucose into the cell all the time. So, but if we've got too high or too low levels of glucose, we're going to screw that and we're going to mess with our mood. So balance your blood sugar levels, but also some key nutrients for these. Every single neurotransmitter has its kind of little family of nutrients. It's usually made of an amino acid in terms of its structure. So tryptophan is the one that we talk about when we think of serotonin. We'd also have, I can't try and think of some more now. Vitamin D is also really important for serotonin. There are a number of minerals which are cofactors. B vitamins are cofactors for most things to happen in the body, but definitely for mood health, which is why B6 especially for brain health and zinc are really, really important. A B6 and zinc deficiency will cause chaos in terms of mood, behaviour, cognitive function generally. Omega 3s are really important, especially the DHA component. And again, this is more about kind of the cell itself has a membrane made out of fatty acids for communication and that kind of stuff. So we definitely want loads of omega 3s, oily fatty fish in our diet, or you could supplement with a DHA supplement as well. Tyrosine is the precursor to dopamine, and again you've then got some factors like vitamin C is really important. We've got B6 again for tyrosine. So if you want to feel naturally motivated, maybe switch to a tyrosine rich breakfast. So that might be meat, fish, eggs, and then again like some fruit maybe for the vitamin C. So again, you could also look back at your nutrition and think, well, I've kind of been getting up having toast and cereal, not really maybe rich in protein and these micronutrients. So switch that about and you'll notice a difference, like big time, in terms of your mood.
And I was going to say, because it's not that, everything that Keris has just mentioned is only important when you want to improve your mood. Like, just making sure that you've got a nice varied approach to your nutrition as a whole all the time is obviously always going to put you in good stead to be happy and healthy and whatnot. But if you are in a state of kind of high stress, or maybe your emotions are a little bit all over the place due to maybe the loss of a loved one or whatever it may be, and it's at those times when I suppose we tend to crave and seek comfort through the sugary foods, the alcohol, whatever it may be. But same as when you get ill and your body needs to kind of work a little bit harder to fix you, your demand for nutrients is going to be even higher. So hence the reason why, if you link the mood to the nutrition, it's so important just to kind of have nutrients in abundance for the body ready to make you happy and healthy, I guess.
Completely. And one thing I was going to say with nutrition, so when stress strikes, obviously it's about you have to look at your perception of stress, you have to work on that, you have to stop sweating the small stuff.
That's a whole nother video.
Guys, I know our videos are getting longer and longer. We do cover all this in Fit 16, but we just kind of want to give you snapshots of it. We love all this stuff. But what I was going to say, I've totally lost my train of thought there. Matt, bring me back. What was I talking about?
Nutrition.
All of you listening.
We're talking about this stuff here.
Yeah, we're talking about mood. Oh God, what was I just saying?
We spoke about stress. We mentioned stress.
Got it, yeah.
And we're back.
So we're back in the room. So with the stress side of things, there's a ton of stuff that you can do, and meditation apps, all that kind of stuff, yoga. But what both Matt and I will sometimes find ourselves, just like you, in a position where we're like, I'm so stressed, my body's craving nutrients. We might be craving neurotransmitters, so we might be craving just a little bit more serotonin or dopamine. So I actually increase my protein quite significantly when I'm stressed. And I do get, I'll boil up a load of eggs, I'll get a load of really nice turkey cooked up ready. I'll have things like cottage cheese, all like kind of quick, easy, grabby proteins to eat. And I will increase it really significantly. And I'll almost say to myself, you can eat as much of those foods as you want. Just stay away from the sugar, because we need to stay strong and energized at this point in time. And it really works for me. And don't do it for long term. It might be just one day where I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I'm really challenged today. I'll just kind of go, have some more protein and healthy fats, have it again. Keep everything stable and consistent. Definitely works for me. And I notice I kind of crave it as well. So I think for me, I know I've got some genetic SNPs that affect everything from serotonin production and dopamine clearance. So, I know that now, and I know that high protein helps me and lots of healthy fats. So Thai omega balls came from this place of need for more omega-3s for me and Matt. Just a last couple of things very quickly. Gut health is vital. You see gut health talked about everywhere now. Thankfully, the media are talking about it as well. But the gut bacteria really do cross over. They kind of crosstalk with the immune system, and they crosstalk with receptor sites in the brain and influence the production of neurotransmitters. That is incredible. So some people we do kind of have a link between gut and brain. So if we're stressed, it often will reflect in terms of gut symptoms. But did you know your gut is actually deciding how many, molecules of, neurotransmitters are actually traveling around your body? That is incredible. So loads and loads. Your nutrition is one of the biggest influences on your gut bacteria. So making sure you're full of prebiotic foods, that your nutrition is full of that. Just generally good nutrition, natural unprocessed foods, meat, fish, eggs, vegetables.
Most of the time.
Most of the time it's going to give you good, healthy, beneficial bacteria, and maybe some fermented foods. So we have sauerkraut, kimchi, that kind of stuff. Moving on down, these two are kind of linked. Environment and people are kind of linked. Environment can be anything from the environment you live in. So we lived in London. We lived on the South Circular, so loads of pollution, quite a stressed, busy lifestyle. Noisy, always running for trains and things like that. And also... That
was our own fault though. As the saying goes, the closer you live somewhere, the later you are. Yeah. We live so close to the station.
Yeah, but they say that's also dopamine chasing.
Running
because
for the train.
You like the drama, so you leave it to the last minute.
Jumping through the doors just as they're closing.
You want a dopamine rush. Environment and not being close to nature. So our bacteria on our skin and our body wasn't really exposed to, kind of all the plant-based materials that it should be. And so we lived in a kind of sterile city environment for a long time, which would have had an impact on our health. But environment could be the job that you have, the kind of environment that you get up every single day and go and spend, 40 hours a week in, whatever it might be. If that's one that you don't enjoy, and really, everything from kind of the fact that you're kind of sitting in maybe kind of a stuffy office all day, it just can affect your health. So think about that. And maybe you can't change it, but we couldn't change where we lived for years, but we did everything we could in our power. So we did, weekend woodland walks, we did saunas and things to kind of help support detoxification. We had loads of plants in our house. We did great nutrition. So we did what we could. And lastly, people, goes without saying, some people can just transform your mood like that,
Bang.
And it's just about kind of, creating distance if that is a possibility, or, more communication to make a bad situation a bit better, being the bigger person, whatever it might be. But always kind of just do a little audit every now and then. Like there are a lot of people that you might spend time with through you feel you have to, but actually they don't bring out the best in you, they don't support you, and there isn't really a reciprocal kind of friendship there. It's just you kind of being drained by somebody. So have a think about that.
But vice versa though as well, because sometimes...
Watch him walk out the room now.
I'm off. I'm out there. Yeah. No, but vice versa in that, depending on someone's state of mind, we've had occasions where, and we know of people, and we hear this a lot with the people that we work with, is that because of the mood that they're in at that time, or for whatever reason, whatever they're going through, they might not want to be surrounded by people that are just super chirpy and happy, because actually that makes them feel worse.
Yeah.
So, which I know is a reflection of how they're feeling, but it just kind of shows you it works both ways. It's not just a case of going, oh, surround yourself with happy people, because that might not be the case. That might not be what you need at that moment, because it might make you feel a little bit worse. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Joe, I was going to say, and you raised a couple of good points. I know we're running over massively, but it raised two things for me there. Was I think you have a gut feeling about who you spend time with, and you either look forward to it, dopamine, or you feel you should do it, and listen to that gut feeling and then go, well, I really look forward to being with this person. I need to prioritize them more in my life. That's a really good thing to do. But secondly, the human body is meant to be surrounded by people, and if the problem here is that inflammation, gut issues, poor nutrition, low blood sugar levels, low levels of serotonin, dopamine will make you want to be on your own and not be around people that are happy, like Matt said. So start to work on all of this, and then start to push yourself maybe out of your comfort zone and try to avoid social isolation, even though you don't want to. So exercise in a group environment, sign up for some courses, where you go and sit in a classroom-based environment. Go and do some things in your office, socialize with people maybe that you wouldn't do normally, but see how it makes you feel. And often we feel better for this because our immune system, our hormones, everything want to be fed back that we're part of a tribe, is the easiest way I can put it. And then they feel happy because we're safe, because we're in a tribe, because we're interacting, they can see faces. It's kind of going back to caveman times where if we were on our own, we were kind of vulnerable basically and threatened. So actually
power in numbers.
So again, for me, my bit of socializing, we work online, so a lot of our work is actually on our own, but I try and exercise in group classes and things. I go to yoga, and obviously see friends and family whenever I can. So I make sure, even if I'm a bit like, oh, I'm tired and I'm not sure, sometimes I'll force myself to go and be with people, and every single time it brings out...
even walking the dog is fantastic, because it's always a great conversation starter.
He talks to everyone when we walk the dog.
They avoid me now. Not him. You never get away. But I just want to wrap up. Last couple of things,
I'm done.
So the nutrition thing, and I probably should have brought this up earlier when it was a little bit more relevant, but the amount of emails that we have had here from people that have made positive changes to their nutrition, who in some cases have come off of their antidepressant medication. We're not touting like what we do as like a cure for depression, but isn't that amazing that just through the changes of nutrition alone, which then have a knock-on effect to other aspects of their lifestyle, has allowed them to come off antidepressants that they've been on for years, and that to us is absolutely huge. Another classic example of this and the power of nutrition is my nan, who bless her, since my granddad passed away, has just become a bit of a negative ninny, really, which I can imagine would happen when you've lost your life partner. But, her mood generally has tended to be quite low when we go to visit her. But we spend a few days with her, we cook her lots of good scoff, lots of fitter food, we're absolutely abundant in nutrients and taste, obviously. And we've always said this, we always notice a change in her. Definitely the nutrition, but also environment. She's got family there who love her, and she loves us, obviously. People, and creating, that lovely environment for good mood. And we always like, oh wow, isn't that lovely? Like she seems happier, her mood's better, she seems healthier, she's got a bit more spring in her step, so to speak.
Incidentally, elderly people almost always have low serotonin levels. And that is due to so many nutrient deficiencies, possibly their digestive systems.
I've actually thought about volunteering at an old people's home.
Oh really?
Yeah. just
you would be the serotonin.
Just spending some time with them, having a little chat, maybe cooking some good food. Take Hamish, winner. And very last thing, I promise. When I did wake up, shoulder was painful. Back in the day, I probably still would have forced myself to go to the gym to make myself feel better. I would have found something to do that didn't hurt my shoulder in order to create...
Added inflammation to inflammation.
Yeah, but now I'm much better equipped to make a smarter choice. So instead, I knew that day, in terms of environment, I actually went onto social media, I went onto Instagram, and I saw a load of people boxing, doing some training, doing the things that I was like, oh, I can't do that right now. And I was like, this isn't making me feel very good. So I was a bit like, why am I on here? So I was like, do you know what, come off Instagram. I don't need to be seeing that. I'm not in the right frame of mind. Secondly, instead of going to the gym or doing anything that, as Kerry said, was going to kind of add inflammation to inflammation and potentially hurt myself more, put me in a worse mood than I already was. I was like, do you know what? All I need today is I just need to get outside. It's a beautiful sunny day. I'm going to whack on a podcast, and I'm just going to go for a walk. And you did try to convince me to come for a run with you, and I was like, no, I just need to, on my own, get out there in nature, feel the sun on my skin. And
I look
just
really
walk.
bad then, by the way. I was trying to get you to add inflammation to inflammation.
No, but you were like, oh, join me on a slow paced, kind of like recovery
because
run.
my run is Matt's fast
Walk.
stride, basically.
It's long legs. So, and
There's
do you
one
know
other
what?
point I just forgot to mention here, nutrition, by the way, guys. For any of you doing kind of extremely low carb or extremely low fat diets, you can deprive yourselves of the omegas, really important for serotonin and feeling good. And the carbs generally, serotonin, really important. Just occurred to me, sorry. So make sure your carbs are good carbs, so generally sourced from whole grains, kind of brown rice, quinoa, or from sweet potatoes or fruits and stuff.
Sweet potato sandwich.
Yeah.
Don't know about that.
No.
But to end it on a positive,
Yeah.
I felt fantastic after my
Well,
walk.
you can see living, breathing.
Here it is. And touch wood, my shoulder's actually starting to feel better. Not healed, but it's on the mend. Awesome.
Right.
Nice one. Guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for listening. Any questions, as always, comment below, PM us, email us, whatever. We are here to help you. So please get in touch and we'll see you soon.
Bye.